So I started working with Max because I had some pain in my wrist. I injured it doing CrossFit. Wasn't really sure what happened, but it started as a really small injury that became bigger over time the more I ignored it. And it went from kind of this small thing I was hardly thinking about to something that I was thinking about and playing around with all the time. And I had gone to some physical therapists. It eventually got so bad that I went to an orthopedic specialist, and the guy took one look at me, asked me to put my hand on the table, said that he could see that it was swollen, he knew what was happening, and the only way that it was going to get better is if I got surgery. I was really worried about surgery. It's like a minimally invasive procedure, but it's kind of a long road to recovery, and I knew that was going to knock me off course of the goals that I wanted to pursue even more. And so I wanted to take one more shot at a more conservative approach. And so that's when I started working with Max. And in that initial intake conversation, the conversation that we had was like, tell me what's going on. Tell me what you want to be true about recovery. Tell me what success looks like for you. Tell me what your goals look like. And from that initial consultation and conversation, we created a plan together to do two things: rehab my wrist, make sure that that was feeling better, and then also gradually introduce some strength building exercises so I could continue to pursue the goals that were important to me. That took a little bit of time, but could feel it getting better over time, and eventually went back to Dr. Max and said, I'm feeling my wrist is in a place where I can start pushing myself, so now how far can we take it? So then the conversation started to shift from like, how do we make my wrist better, to how do we make my bench stronger? How do we make my squat stronger, my deadlift stronger? And he worked with me to develop some programming that was conscious of my wrist, but was also ambitious and pushed me and challenged me. And as a result of that programming, I've added 100 pounds to my bench, over 100 pounds to my squat, 150 pounds to my deadlift. So like huge gains in spite of our relationship starting with a conversation about how I was worried that I would never get any farther, which is really exciting. And because we have that tight relationship, every time like an injury flares up, which is kind of par for the course when you're pushing yourself, I know that we're going to repeat that process. I'm going to have a really clear plan of action. I'm not going to catastrophize. I don't have to jeopardize my training. It'll just adapt to meet what I needed to in that moment. And that makes me feel confident that this is something that I can do for a long time.